Congratulations to Godwin, Emefiele, former CBN governor, because now former you be now. Because yesterday they don't suspend you. As they suspend you yesterday, they send DSS after you. Now so they be. Because anything what you do for this life, definitely it must come back to you. When you get power, you use that power, say maybe nothing will happen. This presidential election wey just take place, so wey just pass, so I know what you use Nigeria as to see because of naira wey you say you want to. I know what you cause that period, but finally now they don suspend you yesterday, and thank God, congratulations to you. You don get new house from that yesterday. Now you don dey under DSS. Na so e dey be. You wey come from this thing, whether na agbo na you for come. Now you can treat people like this. My people, the video when I bring come for una so una wan watch, so na be the allegation where DSS write against this Emefiele. So my people, make una see anything wey person do for this life, make you not believe say, make if you dey any position, not believe say na forever. Not be forever. E get where you go see this, another person go see take over. How e come be now? How it can be now? You don't get there again now. This suspension when they suspend you, so not believe say maybe they will call you back. Now from here, now sack letter that you don't get so. You know they don't sack you already. Nothing like say suspension. You no. Now from here they go. It's from that DSS, so you don't go back to your place. So now so you'll be. My people, make una watch this video, make una look and say, not as they be. Tinubu now don't suspend you. Send DSS after you. How it can be. My people, make una watch this video. Make una they share my video. Make una support me, so that our office dey bring more updates. And if you know say you never see follow my page, wetin you dey wait for? You never subscribe to my YouTube, wetin you dey wait for? Subscribe for me, follow my Facebook page, so that if I post any video, na you go be the first person to see am. Abeg, make una dey always dey like my video, and as una do, may God bless you all.
President Bola Tinubu, not long after this decision was announced, the Department of State Services, DSS, arrested him. Let's take a look at allegations against him, from funding subversive groups to terrorism charges, mismanagement of Nigeria's social investment program, illegal economic crimes of national security dimension, money laundering, unwholesome activity through proxies, and round-tripping, conferment of financial benefits to self and others, threats to national security, criminal conspiracy to divert government resources, terrorism financing. We are continuing our coverage of suspension of Godwin Emefiele by President Bola Tinubu. In a statement by the Director Information, Willie Bassi, on behalf of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, he called to the ongoing investigation of his office and the planned reforms in the financial sector of the economy. Lara Fulayo now takes a look at the activities of the governor while in office.
Godwin Emefiele was appointed Central Bank Governor by the Jonathan administration in 2014. The Buhari administration retained him after it came into power a year later. He was governor when the country saw its worst recession ever. As CBN governor, Mr. Emefiele introduced various interventions to ensure that the naira was kept stable. During his first term, he survived several calls for his removal, particularly during the free fall of the naira against the greenback to an all-time high. Amid calls for the CBN to devalue and float the naira, the governor instead introduced capital control mechanisms to stem the naira's fall. An investors and exporters window was introduced to allow the naira's pricing be at a market rate. This was alongside directing banks to sell forex to customers over the counter for basic travel allowance, medical and education payments. The bank also began cash injections into the foreign exchange market in defense of the naira. The former governor also brought about the consummation of the bilateral currency swap agreement with the People's Bank of China, and these saw the Apex Bank's additional intervention in the foreign exchange market through the sale of foreign exchange in the Chinese yuan. The central bank also had massive interventions in agriculture through the Anchor Brewers program, which is believed to have helped improve the country's rice production capacity. The suspended CBN governor maintained a tight monetary policy stance during his first term in office, and at one point he held the monetary policy rate at 14% for over 2 years. The former central bank governor was the first to get a term renewal since the country's return to democratic rule in 1999. His predecessors, Joseph Sanusi, Chukwuma Soludo, and Lamido Sanusi, were not so lucky.
For products and services to be built with the aim of enhancing.
On resumption for his second time, the suspended CBN governor launched a roadmap that was majorly centered around job and wealth creation. His second term witnessed the emergence of COVID-19, which came with one of the toughest economic times in the country's history. The bank, under his leadership, came up with policy initiatives for households and businesses to mitigate the impact of COVID-19. There are also financial interventions in healthcare and education, amongst others. The Naira continued to see its free fall against the dollar, with the former governor working to address the situation. One of the policies he also initiated was the Forex repatriation scheme known as the RT200.
Unfortunately, I don't have good news for those who feel that we should shift the deadline.
One of his major policy initiatives before the suspension was the Naira redesign policy aimed at getting excess money in circulation into the bank's vaults, stop counterfeiting as well as payment of cash for ransom in kidnap cases, and also drive electronic banking. Inflation rose to a 22.2% high in April this year, and the Monetary Policy Committee under the governor's leadership maintained a tight monetary policy stance by pushing up key lending rates to 18.5% at the last meeting before the suspension. He said he had to do this to rein on inflation, which would have risen to 30.48%, save for the monetary policy intervention. Some economic watchers feel Mr. Emefiele's monetary policy stance as governor helped push down inflation, but some critics say his policy initiatives have not helped in economic growth. There had been calls for the governor's removal when news filtered out that he was interested in contesting for the presidential seat, and this was seen as a violation of provisions of the CBN Act. The calls worsened after he introduced a Naira redesign policy that led to scarcity of Naira notes until the Supreme Court ruling and subsequent threats by Labour changed that narrative. The president, at his inauguration speech, emphasized the need to clean up the monetary policy space, bring down interest rates to drive investments, and review the Naira redesign policy. The CBN governor's suspension has led to the appointment of Folasholu Shonubi as acting CBN governor to oversee the bank's affairs. Mr. Emefiele's tenure as central bank governor would have expired in 2024 if he had not been suspended. Lara Folayo.